as you know, some civil society groups have generally commended the president for the establishment of the Commission of Inquiry to look into circumstances leading to the Yawaso West Wagon by-election violence and make recommendations. One of such groups is One Ghana Movement. The movement, in an open letter to the president, recommended, among others, a review of some of the mandates of the commission. In particular, One Ghana Movement calls for the inclusion of recommendations of interventions for the elimination of election violence. Now, what do they mean by this recommendation? I'm joined in the studio by the Executive Secretary of the movement, Emily Nuru, for more on that. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
First of all, let me get your thoughts on the ongoing demonstration.
Well, for our democratic governance system, I believe that demonstrations of this sort are important. However, what we should note is that we should not politicize these demonstrations, because this is a cause for the entire country. It's a cause of worry. And so I think that in as much as it is a very good cause, we should not politicize. We should be very careful of how we put it across. You know, not to seem as if it's just one party. So when something is going against the other party, of course, we'll demonstrate and then it will go in our favor. We should be careful of how we bring across demonstration issues. But I agree that this demonstration is very necessary with what we have seen, especially with the Ayawaso by-election violence. Yes, it is very important.
I was going to say that we've got 9 opposition parties coming together to do this.
Right.
Our reporter is reporting that, well, significantly she sees a lot of NDC,
right,
people belonging to the NDC. But this is an opposition movement.
True.
What else do we expect? It's certainly going to be political.
It is definitely going to be political, I agree. However, we should include the general populace as much as possible. Like I said, you did rightly say that the NDC seems to be the majority of people, and we could all agree that they are the major opposition party, so there may be a lot more of them. But I heard on my way coming here on one of the radio stations that the MPP was clearly told to stay out of this demonstration. I cannot verify this claim, but if that is the case, I think it is very unfortunate, because everybody should be involved in condemning the wrongs of our society.
Also joining us via Skype is security expert and executive director of Security Warehouse, Mr. Adam Bona. First of all, can I say good morning to you, and if you can hear me, what's your reaction to the ongoing demonstration?
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers, and good morning to the lady studio.
Good morning.
Well, I think that it's our democratic right to demonstrate legally, using the laid down procedures when we are not happy with incidents such as these. So for me, I am happy. So far, I've been monitoring by your network, JoyNews, and I haven't had any incidents of violence or mayhem characterizing this particular peace demonstration. So I am excited. Yeah.
And real quick, your reaction to the Commission of Inquiry that was set up, that big announcement coming through yesterday.
Well, I must say, I am happy. I'm one of the people who thought we should have such, a commission put together by the president or the vice. Unfortunately, it's been done. And looking at the people who have been selected to be part of this commission, the chairman himself is somebody who all of us vouch for. I mean, all of us are on this. And so for me, I am happy. I'm hoping that we could have a public inquiry where, instead of opening some inquiry, which would have a public inquiry where your television station, or radio stations, or media houses, all of us want to see this live. We'll see it live at our house, or we will be wherever they are going to witness, so that these people would be interrogated live, get to know who they are live, and we get to know what they say, so that people will learn out of this. Those who are watching and want to take the laws into their own hands, politicians who want to use, hoodlums like this people were used would be worried of whatever their actions could be there. And also the repercussions. And for me, it is a good thing, but I'm hoping that Justice Emily Short-Mr. would urge, would come out to say, we want to do this in the open, because I think we need transparency. We don't want the situation where this thing is done and we will be at sea. We don't know what the resources will be, what are they saying, what did they say, who said what. We need to know. I think this is so important. After 1979, those of us who lived through that time, I believe this brutality, some of us haven't seen it again, displayed by officials who are perceived to be sponsored by a minister of state. And the minister of state is still at post. I am thinking that one of the things the president and the vice should have done first of all was ask the minister who has admitted that he engaged these people to engage in this targeting. They would have asked him to step aside, or better still, fire him or ask him to resign. But I think he should resign on this position. And so these are some of my reactions to the Commission of Inquiry that hoping that my 21 questions, which I put to national security and government, finding a way to, I've already sent it to Mr. Emily Shops. I've sent them to him. I'm hoping that I would send a hard copy to him, so that once some of these questions are answered, we'll be at peace with ourselves and we'll be assured.
Very interesting, Mr. Bona. Okay, because I was just going to come to you a bit later on the 21 question, but I will still link it to the mandates. But let me just engage Emily in the studio a bit. I'll come back to you, Mr. Bona, who is joining us via Skype. He's a security expert. Emily, yes. Generally you've recommended governments on the commission, but yes, you have some reservations. Share with us.
We do. So let me once again put on record that we do commend government on this commission of inquiry that has been set up, because it shows that they have the willingness to correct the situation. Now, what are our reservations? We just have a few more recommendations that we think can add up to the entire inquiry process. Like Mr. Bona rightly said, we think that the Minister of State in charge of national security, who has clearly stated that the apparatus or the group that committed this violent act was sent from his end, should step aside with good conscience. He should step aside, especially now that a commission of inquiry has been set up, for them to be able to do their work without any abuse of power.
Do you think that his presence, his being in office, would interfere with the work of this? This is supposed to be an independent commission.
It is supposed to be an independent commission, but you realize that he has some powers. He's boldly stating how they commissioned these people to go forth and do this. Even the people who led these groups, I do not want to say vigilante, because we cannot actually say that, even though the trimmings look like that is what it is. It looks like works of political vigilante groups. We cannot clearly state that. All those who are at the helm of affairs, I believe they should all step aside while the commission does its work to ensure that the right things are done. The findings are able to come out before, if they're going to be reinstated, yes, but we need them to step aside. There's another recommendation we have. We actually have a number of questions that we want to put. How many
questions? You also do have questions.
We have a number of questions. So in addition, we expect that a full-scale investigation should be taken.
Different from the inquiry now?
Which is part of the inquiry. Okay. We want to understand why there were security lapses, and we need to be able to identify these. What were the security forces? What was their mandate, right? Because it looks like There's no clear chain of command. Who was in charge? All these organizations are supposed to work together. So EC, the police, the national security, observers, CSOs were all supposed to work together. Were they aware of this group that was going to come? Did they have any intel that there was anything happening that needed the presence of this heavily armed, unmasked, ununiformed group of men? You know, we need to understand these. So we need to also interrogate reports of political thuggery and identify who these specific people are and what, like I said earlier, what their mandate is. What were they supposed to do there? Why were they at Labaaleshi? What was their purpose at the residence of the...
Is it because you're not convinced, you don't want to go along with the information that they got some kind of intel, and that's why they wanted to raid the house of the NDC candidates?
They got some kind of intel in their capacity as who? We do not even know who these people are. To the best of our knowledge, are these procedures that are right? We do not understand the channel that was followed, the procedure that was followed, because we think it's the police in any case, or if the police has a special unit, these are the people who should be used. We don't understand. This group, are they an entirely new set of people? Were they taken from the police force? If they are a new set of people who came up, where did they come from? Are they from the political party? You know, these are little issues that have to be understood properly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mr. Bona, let me come to you. There's a lot of expectation for this commission. The police also announced that they were investigating. What's your expectation? Should that be going on and the commission's work also go on alongside? Do you think that this would truly satisfy the many questions, including your 21 that you've been asking?
I lost you a bit. Are you asking if the police, their criminal aspect of the investigations and this other civil
should go side by side?
Yeah, I think it should go side by side. Last night, I did speak to some senior police officers to understand their view, and I was told, reliably informed, that yes, they are not going to call up their criminal inquiry into this. So they were going to proceed with the criminal aspect of their investigations, which I thought was good. I'm not a lawyer, but I want to believe that the police can still go ahead and do their investigation. And if they find this people, they are before law courts punished, you know, probably, yeah, if law court finds them guilty, they are punished. Yeah, so I think it's something very needful. The inquiry, the commission that has been, that would give us a wider scope where you have an independent, you know, body that is doing it outside, you call it, IGP and his people who are appointed by the president. And so for me, those who are superintending over this commission are independent-minded people who owe no allegiance to the president and don't need to satisfy the president or the executive's wishes. So I believe that it is important they do it. And then let's see what the police will come up with.
Mr. Bona, if you look at the trend of events, would it be fair to say that it's a lot of pressure that has brought the presidency to make this decision and set up this commission? Then the follow-up question is, would it take the same amount of pressure to get the recommendations that will be given at the end of that 1 month for it to be implemented? How do we ensure that the work doesn't go waste?
Well, first of all, my reaction to the 30 days or the 1 month was too long. You don't need a rocket scientist or anyone. I mean, the information is already out there. The media were there with them when they were beating these innocent people. And so I thought maybe 10 working days sitting would have been enough for them to conclude that 1 month is better than nothing. But there again, your question, as to, what do you call it, should we, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Mr. Bona.
Yes. What was the other question? You asked two questions.
No, so I was asking the kind of pressure that seemed to have been put on the presidency to set up this commission.
The kind of pressure, I believe that, no, it wasn't the pressure. I think it has to do the president and the vice president viewing the videos of the atrocities that were meted out innocent Ghanaians. I believe that anyone who is seeing this cannot just sweep it under the carpet.
So why didn't we see them speak to the events?
No, you realize that I'm not the president. I'm trying to go into the president.
I appreciate that.
The morning when the incident happened, I think the president tweeted, congratulates the lady who won, I think after the election, the president. But you know, the president has advised, and so I believe that the president would have been advised with what might have taken place. And as we speak, at the moment the president is not in town. And I do know that when our leaders do travel, they usually have fewer people among them, and they are able to go on to social media and conventional media, online sources, you know, interrogate matters properly. And so I want to believe that the reaction didn't come early because not holding brief for the president, the executive, because probably they didn't have the full benefit of what took place. I saw some of these dastardly images, some of this barbaric brutality on video. I think it was on Friday, was Saturday, I think Saturday or Friday, when I saw it. And I was lost. And I thought, so this also happened. And it did happen. Where people help, you know, innocent Ghanaians helplessly were being beaten. And I thought, did this happen in Ghana? And so I want to believe that they might have delayed in responding. Not the pressure would have also contributed from the media. But I believe there are multiple reasons why they would have then commissioned this inquiry to look into it. It won't be just the pressure, but anyone viewing this, you don't need the Pope coming to tell you, or the chief imam coming to tell you that, you know what, this thing, someone has asked. So I believe that they are the pressure. We are all trying to put pressure on the executive to make sure that this never happens again in this country.
Mr. Adam Bonat, thank you very much for your time. He joined us via Skype. He's Executive Director, Security Warehouse and Security Expert. Emily is still here in the studio. Emily, Mr. Bonat intends sending his 21 questions to this commission that's been set up. Right. The concerns that you have and the recommendations that you also raise. Yes. Are you going to forward it to the commission?
Yes, definitely. We have concerns that we are going to send to the commission because we intend for them to be heard and acted upon. Yes, like Mr. Bona rightly said, there are so many different aspects that we have to look at in this entire chain. He has 21 questions, great questions, I read them, and then we have a number of questions as well. So we are going to definitely send it to the Commission of Inquiry, hoping that they will, we believe that the quality of people selected for the commission is credible enough, and so the onus lies of them to prove to Ghanaians that the right things can be done in the right way.
There's a lot of expectation from this commission.
Definitely is. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Emily Nura is Executive Secretary of the One Ghana movement. Let's stay with this subject a while longer because private legal practitioner Martin Pebu says victims who may be dissatisfied with the commission's work after presenting evidence before it can proceed to court to seek redress.
What is usually done is that by the law, you won't use evidence that the witnesses have given at the commission to prosecute them. That's the thing, you see. So if witnesses come, so let's say the persons who did the shooting and all that, they come before the commission and then they give evidence. You cannot use that evidence they have offered to now turn around to prosecute. But if independently you're able to investigate and find your own evidence, yes, that one you can prosecute. So it isn't the case that once you give evidence before the commission, there can be no prosecution whatsoever. No, that's not it. But rather, evidence that you have offered should not be that same evidence that will be taken to court to prosecute you. No, because you see, in order to motivate people to cooperate with the commission and the rest, they have to be assured that things that they have come to give to the commission to help go into the bottom of the matter, the investigation, should not then be used against them subsequently. You see, because it's like a man comes to help you do a job, and then subsequently you turn around and use what he has brought to you against him. Obviously, that's like something like, for lack of a better term, I would say bad faith, sort of, you see. So that is the whole gamut of the protection. That evidence they have given is not what you use against them. And subsequently, you can establish through independent investigations other evidence. So even like the person comes and gives some evidence, and they further on, let's say, a crime of, let's say, causing harm. And then subsequently, do your own investigation. You also even find that there was, let's say, threat of death and the rest independently. You cannot, the law doesn't bar you from prosecuting for those offenses.
You're also watching News Desk, and still ahead, West Blue sues owners of Unipass for allegedly cloning their software. Darrell Qual is next with details of the story and more in business.